All right, let's go ahead and get started. Hey everybody, this is Anna. If you haven't tuned in before, I am the events manager over at Restoratives Distillery in Ivy City. Good to see everybody signing in here. Thanks for hanging out with us on this very beautiful Saturday night. Not that there's a lot of other things that you can do, but we appreciate it anyway. So just to tell you a little bit about what's going on at Republic Restoratives right now, we are still doing bottle delivery and pickup in DC. So you can come to the distillery Sunday through Saturday. We're there every day, and you can pick up bottles from us there. Every order comes with a free bottle of hand sanitizer. If you prefer to just stay home, which totally get right now, and support that, you can order it for delivery if you're in DC. If you're not in DC, sorry friends, you'll have to come pick up, or we can help get you connected to a distributor if you're far away and need it shipped to you. But yeah, so we basically, everybody who's still working at the distillery, that's what we're doing every day, trying to get those orders out to everyone, and super appreciate the support of everyone who has bought a bottle over the last month. It's literally helping keep us all there employed. So just thank you so much, DC, for all of the support this month. One of the other things that we've been doing is these weekly Instagram Live cocktail classes. So we're partnering with local bartenders and restaurants and doing these classes so that those of you who are at home and haven't had to bartend for yourselves before can get some hot tips from all of DC's best bartenders who may be out of work right now or maybe working in a different capacity. So yeah. Tonight we are at one of my favorite breweries, my favorite brewery in DC for sure, Red Bear Brewing in Noma. They have switched to takeout and delivery as well, so if you haven't hit them up for all your beer needs lately, they are open. Our bartender tonight is Victor Moyer. He's going to be showing you how to make a few different things, but how these classes work. We are going to post in the comments, you'll see me commenting, Yelvy. I'll tell you a discount code that you can use to get 10% off your order. Tonight it's Red Bear, and if you use that code, we're gonna match all of those sales with a 10% donation to the Red Bear staff who are currently out of work. There's also behind me, you can see Victor's handle on Instagram and also his Venmo. Make sure that you tip your bartender because I know you would normally be out tonight. And Victor's here spending his time with you, teaching you how to make stuff at home. So make sure that you tip him. All right, I'm gonna turn it over to you, Victor.
All right. Hello, everyone. Victor. So welcome to Red Bear. Thank you all for tuning in. This is my first time doing this. I didn't actually get to peek at the other one, so no idea what to expect. So, but anyway, so just to start out, why are we making cocktails at a brewery? Well, obviously we want to do a variety of things to make sure customers are getting a little bit of everything they want. Plus, we get to focus mostly on local spirits, and I think a partnership between Red Bear and Republic Restoratives is an obvious connection. And I love all these products that we're using. It was really exciting to kind of revisit some of my cocktails from back in the day. So I've worked with Red Hen. I was GM over at Primrose. This is kind of my final frontier was learning beer. So I know wine and cocktails pretty well. Wanted to learn a little bit more about beer, and this is just an incredible place to work and an incredible group. They're all very supportive. I wanted to start by saying a little bit about my cocktail philosophy. I started working in restaurants when DC's cocktail revival was really kind of starting to pick up steam, and now pretty much everyone's got to know how to make at least a decent classic. And I think that my experience was over part of that time feeling a little bit disconnected from the process. Obviously, you want a premium experience when you're out at a restaurant, but if you want to make something at home, it's super easy, and you should not be intimidated at all because there's nothing new under the sun. Most things have been riffs off of something else, and you should feel comfortable just experimenting, and you should just use whatever you have at home. So some of the cocktails that I'll be doing are riffs on other cocktails, whether they're riffs on riffs, and they're all pretty easy to make at home, and I think they sort of fit into different people's taste areas, and they get to feature 3 different Republic Restorative spirits, which is a lot of fun. So to start off, I'm going to make, my first cocktail is a riff on Collins Collins is a very simple cocktail. It's one of my favorites because it's super refreshing. It's basically the Tom Collins, the original. It's gin, lemon, simple syrup, and sparkling water. Can't really be easier than that. So this is a great example of something you can do at home to make something a little bit more interesting or to add some different flavors that you like. What I like is, and I've always done this at every place I've worked, is really try to incorporate some savory flavors into cocktails because I think that helps sort of diversify from a lot of the sweet flavors that are kind of like naturally lending themselves to cocktails. So for this cocktail is called Jalapeno Glass. It is a riff on the Collins with a couple different local spirits as well as a jalapeno quick shrub. Now I say quick shrub because any cocktail purist would be devastated if I called this an actual shrub. But it's an easier way to do it, especially if you, like for me, when I've had to make these cocktails, it's been volume, and shrubs can take a significant amount of time to make. So this is sort of more of a drinking vinegar, if you will. My shrub is basically juiced jalapenos, white distilled vinegar, and sugar, and you can blend those to taste. Add a little water if the vinegar is a little too strong. I like it to be strong because then I can kind of use less product and stretch it out, and then you can always adjust it a lot with your other mixers. So for this cocktail in particular, we'll start off. It is 1.5 ounces of Civic vodka. Our pours are, of course, going to take forever.
They're out of practice.
Yes, they haven't been used in quite a while. There's 1/2 ounce of lime, and I prefer to use freshly juiced limes. I think most people would use freshly juiced limes. If you don't care about this, just use the lime juice that you can buy at the grocery store. It really is not a big deal. It's a little bit more acidic, but we're just glad to have this fresh produce at our hands, so we like to use it whenever we can. So about 1/2 ounce of lime juice. Then I'm also featuring another local spirit here. This is Don Chicho of Figli, their Fico de India, which is a prickly pear syrup. I've seen this in a lot of small cocktail places, and it is fantastic. It's really like subtle, but adds nice sweetness. And you can also use this color to your advantage when you're making cocktails because it's like this really like subtle, beautiful pink.
What type of spirit is that? I'm sorry.
The Fico de India, it's a liqueur, prickly pear liqueur.
Ooh, delicious.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's fantastic. And Don Chicho, shout out, another product that's local. And then the last thing is going to be my jalapeno shrub. Quick shrub, sorry. No offense there. Doing 0.75 ounces. Also, I'm going to add all these. I've got my Instagram handle up as well, because if you're interested and can't catch all these things, I can obviously shoot you a message with my recipes. And I'm happy to chat cocktails because what else do I have to do? Sit at home. So we're gonna shake this guy, add some nice clear Collins glass.
I'm telling everybody to slide into your DM.
Yes, slide into them. So most shrubs, they're almost fermented, but with this quick process, you can do this with anything you have. You can make a carrot shrub, you can make it with fruit, you can make it with any vegetables or herbs. I've been trying to figure out ways to use produce before it goes bad at home, and this is a great way to do that because the sugar and the vinegar is going to make it last a lot longer. And then you can figure out other ways to use it. Maybe you can cook with it, etc. All right, I'm going to toss that in there, and then top with club soda. And for me, this is just like, it is like a nice, refreshing, simple, easy cocktail now that it's getting warmer. But with something just a little different in case you're bored, and we're all bored right now. So I'm garnishing with some pickled jalapeno slices that we happen to have here. Once again, I reiterate the importance of using what you have at home. A lime wheel would be fine. Nothing would be fine. You can just drink it as is. And so that is the first cocktail, the jalapeno glass.
Cute.
And I'm gonna get some comments from the peanut gallery over here.
Ooh. I'm just gonna, we're practicing social distancing here, so I'm just gonna slide this around. I know that you all just saw me spill, so sorry about that. Oh, wow, this is delicious. It's like, looking at it, I would expect it to be so spicy, but the vinegarness from the shrub just like gives it like a slight hint of pickledness, and it's really, really tasty with that prickly pear liqueur. 10 out of 10. Tip this man. I'm gonna remind you in the comments, but tip Victor.
And just to reiterate that, like what you have at home, like you could replace the Fico de India with a triple sec. You could use gin instead of vodka. There's a million different things you could do. This is how I learned to be confident with my cocktail making abilities, was just to riff off of the classics. Take a recipe and replace every ingredient in it and just try it out and see what happens. So my next cocktail is going to be a little bit more of a boozy cocktail.
Quickly, should we tell people about like quick shrub, just how to mix it? Like, are there any technique things they need to know for mixing that up?
The only thing is, so I basically do equal parts. You want a sort of a syrupy consistency, but like I said, I want it to be to taste. Now, the only thing is, if you're not heating any of those ingredients, you will need to add the sugar gradually so that you don't end up with just a ton of undissolved sugar in the bottom, because that's kind of a pain in the butt. But I mean, a whisk and some elbow grease. That's where I got it.
Easy.
The juicing thing is the big thing. Like, I did this at home with a food processor, and like 4,000 jalapenos yielded like 3 ounces of juice. So using a juicer definitely helps. And also, when I made my second batch, I was able to juice with seeds, which added a little bit more spiciness, which is something that I was looking for. So cool.
Not a cocktail question, but Emily would like to know, why are you so sexy?
Oh, I don't know. She was born with it. It's not me, but like, all right.
Oh man.
So once again, if you have questions, keep them coming. Anna's gonna like just jump in every once in a while and let me know what you guys are thinking. Cool. All right. So let's move on to the next one. So a lot of these cocktails, I kind of look back at things I had worked on in the past, and one time at Red Hen, we did cocktails themed, Tim Burton themed cocktails. So everything was for the fall. Everything was like, these rich flavors, and so this cocktail is dedicated and named after Helena Bonham Carter, because drama. The other shrub drink I made was called Dangerous Liaisons. There's a theme here. Have fun with it. It's fun. You don't have to name these at all if you don't want to, but it's fun to have something like that at a party or whatever. This one is definitely on the boozier side. And I'm using a technique that plenty of bartenders use called a split base, partly because the Chapman's is it is a super fresh, super apple-y flavor, and I wanted to make sure that that came through with the other ingredients that I've got in this cocktail.
Ooh, real quickly, someone asked, any recommendations if we don't have cocktail shakers at home?
Oh, if you don't have a cocktail shaker at home.
Do you have a mason jar?
A mason jar would work. Anything with a lid, anything with a lid. So even if it's your Starbucks coffee cup, put the lid on it, put your finger over the hole and shake it. If you can't even do that, honestly, shaking is for dilution and incorporating the ingredients, so that's really the biggest thing. You can pass it back and forth between two glasses. You just want to make sure everything's getting mixed up and frothy. Dilution is one of those things that many super professional bartenders are going to think about a lot, because it can definitely affect the flavor and the heat, especially of a cocktail, in terms of its alcohol content. But once again, this is being made. You're making this at home for yourself. I'm not teaching any of you all how to be a mixologist, if you will. So dilution is up to your taste, and I prefer mine not as diluted, so I don't shake that long. You can shake you shake it with anything. 2 glasses, one that's smaller than the other. Throw them together. Don't break it though, okay? Use something other than glass. All right, second cocktail. Okay, so this uses some fun ingredients that you don't have to prep, that you can buy yourself. Well, I do have one prepped ingredient, but another one that you can buy yourself. You might not think that it would be useful. Or ask yourself, how in the hell would I use this if I had it at home? So Helena Bonham Carter is a riff on an old fashioned. Old fashioned is kind of the simplest cocktail in the world. Now, I did have some iterations in the 80s and 90s where there was a lot more fruit muddling, and some people will just be aghast at that, but I think it takes it more into a smash or a crush area. So if you like your cocktails a little bit fruitier and weaker, it's a good way to still have an old fashioned without without it not being, if it's not a pleasant experience, why the hell are you going to drink it anyway, right? Put an orange slice in there, muddle it up, who cares? So this cocktail is definitely more of a fall flavor cocktail, but When I worked at the Red Hen, fennel was a big thing because our rigatoni is sort of like, or their rigatoni, I should say now. Oh, they're my babies.
Yeah, on purpose too. So they are the babies.
It's so hard. But and shout out to them for doing the class as well. That was fantastic. So with this cocktail, I'm going to do an ounce of the stick vodka once again. An ounce of the vodka, an ounce of the Chapman's apple brandy, which I'm in love with because apple brandy is my favorite spirit.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
That's a hot take.
I freaking love apple brandy. Like,
yeah.
Working at Primrose, I drink a lot more brandy than I had previously, and like Calvados and apple brandy is just so sexy, and it is. If you want to take your shot game up, doing a shot of Calvados at a bar is gonna be like, oh, this bitch knows what he's doing, but it's really just...
Yeah, we're teaching you how to keep it sexy here. You're going to learn how to make drinks. We're going to teach you how to look good at a bar.
Yeah, I'm just teaching you how to be a great drunk, okay? Just like me. So we've got the 1 ounce of the Civic Vodka, 1 ounce of Chapman's Apple Brandy, and then I've made a fennel and black pepper syrup. So for this, I want to mention that some people were wondering exactly how you make a simple syrup, but there's a reason it's named that. It's literally 1-to-1 hot water to sugar. Most bartenders would measure it on a scale. You can do it with a cup. It's not an exact science, but then you can use that base to make anything you want. So for this one, I basically steeped fennel seed and black peppercorns that were crushed slightly in hot water, and then added sugar until it was the consistency that I like. And you'll just do a 1/4 ounce of this because it is quite sweet. Once again, this is something you could experiment with flavors. Black pepper makes an incredible syrup, whether you use it like that or you grind it up. A friend of mine, Alex, who I worked with at Red Hen, made the most incredible cocktail called Atticus that had Campari and black pepper syrup in it. And it was incredible, and it was hugely popular, and it was super messy, but it was delicious. So you should always feel free to throw in whatever spices you have. So I'm going to keep stopping in the middle of this and forgetting what the hell I've put in here. So it's an ounce of Civic Vodka, an ounce of the Chapman's Apple Brandy, 1/4 ounce of the fennel black pepper syrup, and then this is one of the things I was talking about, Fees. Fees is the most unpretentious bitters in the world, and they're everywhere. Anywhere that's got bitters, anybody that's got just a step above your Angostura and your Peugeots is going to have Fees. And this is their celery bitters, which I imagine the first thought you think of is put it in a Bloody Mary, which would go just fine. This cocktail was kind of inspired by the flavors of a Thanksgiving meal, almost like stuffing or dressing. So it just adds another savory element. Yeah, and so there we are. That's all we got. I'm going to go ahead and stir this guy up. And this is one of those, this is a moment to talk about dilution as well, stirring. Some bartenders have their number of stirs they want to do, or looking at the volume of the liquid in the glass to see how much more water was added. Once again, I don't really care. I just want the cocktail to get me drunk. You know what I'm saying? We got a goal here. So that looks good. What I like about this cocktail is that it is super clear. It looks really light and refreshing. It is pretty refreshing considering it is an old-fashioned base. So it's a little bit more appropriate for warm weather if you're wanting something boozy in the warm weather. On my spec sheet, I was going to garnish this with curled celery just because, fancy if you can. But I can't because we don't have celery. So
it's hard out here in these closed bars, y'all.
Apple slice. See, look, easy peasy. This cocktail is, what I like about it is old-fashioned, but a little bit on the softer and sweeter side, which I think makes it a good sort of intro version, even though you're using some ingredients that are a little bit more advanced. Or not advanced, but ingredients that are sort of out of your wheelhouse if you're just your average day-to-day drinker.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Ooh.
And so you get a nice salty savoriness from the celery bitters, but it doesn't take the cocktail into fucking outer space where you I don't want to drink this.
Yeah, the apple brandy is such an interesting base for that. I love that.
It's so good.
You've missed a couple of comments. One of them from Indigo Going
Oh.
Hey Victor, Jeff is watching.
Oh, hey.
You should mention the guy who'd order all the apple brandy at Primrose. Well, maybe not. There were a few Matilda incidents.
Oh, Lord. My regulars follow me all over the world. This is a regular from, one of my regulars from Primrose. They moved out to Arizona. But they were some of the people who we could share this experience with. I think that's my favorite part of hospitality, is just getting people to really enjoy something that you enjoy. And these guys would bring back stuff from Canada, like apple liqueurs and apple ciders and things. And we made it an experience. We'd sit down with them and talk through everything and try and match it up with other spirits. And that's really like, I am lucky to have had the time in these jobs to spend talking to people. A lot of places you just get too busy. But when you have the staff and the time and the opportunity, sitting down and talking to people is so much fun. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to impose on you, but we're in it for a reason. We obviously love food and drink too, so.
And then Ponta Fanta asked, this is like the best question I've ever seen. How long would shrub last in the fridge if you're willing to gently flirt with food poisoning? Like, not all the way, but if you're willing to go a little bit of the way.
I mean, it will depend. I think you're safe at probably a month. Like, you don't want to see any cloudiness that wasn't there already from your spirits. Some things will settle. And I will say it is a little bit difficult to tell by taste because of all the vinegar. But you got to remember that if you have organic ingredients in there, they will start to disintegrate. It does help to preserve, and that's the whole purpose of a shrub. So I mean, it's safe for a good while. I say make small batches. That's kind of the best way to do it. It takes a lot of jalapenos to make this stuff, so I'm not gonna go out and buy the store out of jalapenos like some psycho. So yeah, I would just say make smaller batches, but even if if you jar them up and keep them airtight, they should last good. I'd say at least a month.
Dope. I think all the rest of the comments have just been people who love you. So.
Hooting and hollering.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay. So my final cocktail here, and then I'm happy to answer questions.
Yeah.
Whatever you guys want.
Everybody just start thinking of your at-home bartending questions to ask Victor, because we have some time.
Yeah. Something that I always thought about was, what are the minimum things you need at home to have a successful bar experience. Once again, looking at it from a really practical and day-to-day perspective, I'm not going to tell you to carry VEP chartreuse because first of all, that bottle should last you a lifetime. Second of all, it's frickin' expensive. And honestly, your layperson isn't going to know the difference between that and a regular. So it's not about, unless you want to show off, and I'm down with that. You want to stock your bar with the most expensive shit, I will help you find it. But just being able to make some fun stuff, once you finally can have people over again, and then also, like I said, it's a good way to incorporate things you have sitting around the house that maybe you're not going to use that could go bad. I can't keep. I will message you all when I figure out how to put mixed greens in a cocktail, because that's the shit that goes bad in my house. I can't have a salad.
Emily wants to know, other than Chapman's, what's your guilty pleasure drink?
Well, if I'm going straight spirit, it's Tullamore Dew, Irish whiskey. If I'm going, I can't admit that. I like Miller Lite.
You can admit that.
This is
a safe space for Miller Lite.
But no, I will say that working here, I've learned to like IPAs, which I absolutely detested in the past. And having 5 on the menu, you get to try some different stuff, and that's definitely opened my eyes to that. But literally, I drink everything. I don't have a favorite. I don't want to call favorites because I like tequila too. Y'all should make an agave spirit. Oh. Do it to me.
That's my dream.
Do it to me.
Wow. Okay, so your comment about home bartending has got the people coming out. Okay, so here's the sitch.
Good.
Okay, basics of a bar if you're just starting out, / what are home bar essentials, / what are the top 3 liqueurs I should have in my home bar? These are great questions.
Yeah. In terms of equipment, I don't see why everybody... makeshift shaker if you want, but you know, if you're gonna make more than a couple cocktails a week, getting a shaking 10 set is worth it. And you can get the standard for everybody in the industry is Carico. You can get them online. They're like, I think it's $20 for a set, maybe. They're gonna last you forever. There are multiple different types of strainers. You need this one. You don't need a julep strainer. Or is that a Harthill? I always forget the name. But you need this strainer.
You don't need it. Whatever it is.
And these are like a dime a dozen. So buy them up. Have extras. That's, to me, those are about it. Because even if, like, the stirring glasses can get very expensive, but you can use a pint glass, or you can just stir in a tin. Stirring in a tin, you can actually, like, if you put your hand on it, you can feel some of the, oh, thank you, Kat. You can feel the temperature through the tin as well. Obviously, we use glass because of the, you know, thermal properties of it, and because it looks cute. But yeah, I think a shaker, one strainer, a jigger of any type, as long as it's got, I like them to have half ounce measurements, because I think those are a little hard to guesstimate in some of these. My favorite is OXO, like it's got a rubber grip in the middle.
And for jiggers, if you're like, I don't have one at home right now, you can use tablespoon.
Yeah.
A tablespoon is half an ounce. So
There you
that's
go.
like a great way to, while you're waiting on your Amazon order.
Exactly. Or you can just free pour, because
Because
what
what
I
are you
like.
even doing
Yeah,
tomorrow?
what are you even doing? Oh, in terms of liqueurs,
Yes,
top three liqueurs.
top three.
So, numero uno is a triple sec of some sort. You need an orange liqueur. Now, whether it's triple sec, once again, I'm stepping on toes to say that I kind of interchange Curacao and orange liqueurs. They are not the same. Curacao is based with brandy. I prefer Curacao if I can have it. Dry Curacao is like the best, but any triple sec will do. Most of the time you're not using a ton of it, and it's there to add like sweetness and richness. So that's definitely one. I believe you need to have a bitter liqueur. So whether you're doing Campari or Aperol, or we've got an example of Capital Line Tiber, something along these lines with like some bitter herbal notes to it. It's just gonna, a Negroni is a cocktail that you want to be able to make at home, and like you've got to have something with a little bitterness, because everything can be so sweet in terms of liqueur. So having something with some wormwood or some gentian in it is really going to be nice. And then the third, I don't think it's technically, we would technically put it in a liqueur category, but you should have vermouth. I think you can get by without dry vermouth, because literally I will drink a glass of cold vodka and call it a martini. But you need sweet vermouth.
That's what a martini is, right?
Yeah. But sweet vermouth is definitely a go. And if you can swing it, don't get Martini and Rossi. No hate, but get Dolan. Dolan is classic. Or
Treat yourself.
What am I?
Carpano and Tika?
Yes.
Yeah.
Not Carpano and Tika to me gets like super fancy, but Coca di Torino. Coca di Torino. That's my absolute favorite. I think it's the most versatile. It's probably not people's favorite, but it goes with everything. So.
Someone also wants to know, like, how do you feel about using the ice that you would have in your freezer? Like, do you need to have nice ice,
No.
or is shitty ice okay?
Shitty ice is fine.
Okay.
I think it got to a point where I felt like people were cutting ice into different shapes just because they were fucking bored. I'm like, you do not need to make people cut ice into certain sizes and shapes. Obviously, I'm saying this all from a home bartending perspective. I understand the idea of going out and having an experience with premium everything, and that's why you pay what you pay for it. I mean, it's an experience. But for a home bartender, or even bartenders at places like Red Bear, where like this is not volume cocktail bar, and honestly, when it gets volume, it's queens asking for vodka sodas, and I can do that without any work or thought whatsoever. So yeah, I think that everyone's favorite ice is a square hard cube, but I mean, don't go out of your way to do something special with your ice at home.
Okay. Do you have a favorite margarita recipe?
Margarita recipe. Well, okay.
We talked about agave spirit, so now we've got the margaritas out here.
I mean, my favorite is fresh. You use fresh lime, fresh lime is really the thing that's going to make your margarita well. Like don't use the sour mix. It's only lime, so like just put lime. Balance the sweetness to your liking. I say use your orange liqueur instead of simple syrup. Silver tequila to me is you got guess. Silver tequila is my favorite in them. But I mean, and also you can switch that up and use like a mezcal if you like scotch, like the smoky flavors. Just replace your tequila with mezcal. But yeah, the simplest margarita is one of my favorite. Lots of salt.
I actually have to come answer this one.
Oh, come on in.
Fling myself around the bar. Stephanie Judy wants to know, what do I do if I can't find shit at our friendly neighborhood liquor store? And I'm so glad you asked. Do you live in DC, Stephanie?
Yes,
because
she
if
does.
so, come through Republic Restoratives. We're open 7 days a week, and you can come get spirits from us. We make vodka, apple brandy, bourbon, rye, and we also have a bottled cocktail right now called American Trilogy that's similar to an old fashioned, but it has a split base, so you'll get some rye and apple brandy, and it's delicious. And you literally just pour it over ice. It's super easy. So come see us or order it for home delivery, and we'll bring it right to your door. If you don't live in DC, just like leave a comment, and I'll reach out to you, and we'll figure something out. But
yeah. Oh, I was gonna say, to add to that, sometimes you can snazz up what you can get. Like, say all you can get is a really like sort of crappy red vermouth. Like, you could throw in some herbs and let it sit for a couple days and just get like a deeper flavor with more complex notes. And that's the idea. Use what you got at home. Just give it a go. Like, you can throw herbs or spices into any spirit and get a whole new thing. Lavender is one of my favorites because it's just the gayest thing I could think of. But lavender in gin, I mean, there's already lavender notes in gin, so like if you do a little bit of a cocktail like that, I remember getting a cocktail, God knows where it was, that was gin, lavender, and Earl Grey. And if that shit does not come served on a doily, I don't know what is wrong with people. But it was delicious. So I mean, it's you have to vary depending on what your tastes are. I like perfumey things. I like floral notes and things. But yeah, you can jazz up any spirit you get that's crappy. I mean, throw your aristocrat through a Brita filter a couple times, it might taste a little better.
We'll get to these next ones later because people want to know what to make with apple brandy. Although that was in the last cocktail that we made.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, apple brandy you can use as any brown spirit replacement. It makes a great Manhattan, great old fashioned. Like a sidecar goes nicely. It gives it a little bit of a fruitier, more I don't know, to me almost like a fall-like characteristic to that cocktail. Yeah, anything that you would use a darker spirit in, but to be honest, like if you did a Collins with it, it would probably taste fantastic because any of the sweetness that you add to it is going to bring out those flavors, the apple flavors, a lot. So,
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then someone asked, I actually don't know what this drink is. Someone asked if you could make a bushwhacker.
Shit, I don't know what bushwhacker is.
Let us know what that is.
Explain.
And we'll let you know.
That is one of the frustrating things about the cocktail revolution is everybody's making their own stuff. You want to have something a little different, a little signature, but that does not mean anybody else knows what the hell it is. So be patient with your bartenders. They're more than happy to make it for you or to like take the flavor profile and figure out something that'll satisfy you. But
Kat said to use apple brandy for a sidecar, but call it a side piece.
yes. Get it.
Oh, that's going on the menu.
Yes. Also, please keep an eye on Red Bear's Instagram because we will be selling the jalapeno syrup, that first cocktail, as part of our menu. I'm not sure exactly when, but if you check our menu online, it'll be updated. You can order through our order form there, and try one at home before you make it. Make it for you. Be lazy.
Okay, I'm officially done interrupting you. Let's do this last cocktail.
Yeah.
It looks awesome.
So what I saved for the end was the one that's to me the weirdest because like I said, once again, I like to use savory flavors, and this one's going to be a little bit, not everybody's taste, but once again, I'd like to explain this is a riff off of an Al Capone, which itself is a riff off of a Negroni. So the inception is real. This cocktail, the Al Capone, was made as like it was like an anniversary cocktail. I think somebody from Templeton Rye came up with it, and so I looking at what spirits I was using and what produce I had available right then, I was like, this sounds good. Let's give it a shot. Made it, loved it. Some of you are gonna be like, this is fucking disgusting, but that's fine. So this a little bit, it's stretching the riff in the Negroni because I got a lot of other stuff going on here. So first is I'm gonna add to my shaker 4 sliced in half grape tomatoes. Tomatoes are a fruit, just like me. But what I like about tomatoes is that they have there's like an umami sort of texture to them, which even if like the flavor isn't jumping out, because it is hard to get a good tomato this time of year, even if the flavor's not jumping out like crazy, it's going to give you a little bit of a mouthfeel that's really interesting. This cocktail is called the Al Caprese because I'm also using 5 torn basil leaves. As you can see, this is the basil I have. It may look like some of the stuff in the back of your refrigerator you forgot you had. It's still useful. It's not as pretty. But I also added in, so there's some fennel here, some thyme. You could use anything at home.
Do you mind if I pop in here for 1 second?
Please.
JB Sanchez just sent some heart eyes, and it's his birthday. Happy birthday, Jeff! Love you.
Get drunk. So I've got my torn basil leaves. I'm gonna add a couple more just because. In this, once again, this is like just adjusting for what you like. I really like the strong savory flavors in here. So tearing up some basil leaves. Now we're gonna add a half an ounce of fresh lime juice. This juicer is like the best thing in the world. If you don't have one at home, you should, because even for cooking or for making cocktails, it is fantastic.
Someone just asked, is this a cocktail or a pasta sauce?
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know what? Throw some cheese in there and you're good to go. But yeah, so half an ounce of lime juice, freshly squeezed if you can. So then we're gonna do a little quarter ounce of, I'm using agave syrup here because we had it available. You could use simple syrup. You could use, once again, this is one of those places you can start being creative. You could add maple syrup. You could add pancake syrup. You could add corn syrup. You could add whatever sweet viscous liquid you have. Oh, that was not appropriate at home. But any sort of syrup would work. You can use balsamic reduction. There's your pasta sauce.
Yes.
So I'm going to take these and I'm going to muddle them. Every bartender's worst nightmare is muddling cocktails. So we don't do this a lot. We try to not do this in when you're working on a day-to-day basis. But I do think it's a nice treat to do at home because it's fun, it's interactive. It's just not something I need to do when there's like 1,500 tickets laying there, right? Don't order mojitos.
Don't do it to us.
Don't order mojitos, please. All right. So once you get this nice and cracked and mashed up, we're going to add our last 2 ingredients here, which is a half an ounce of the Capital Line Tiber. Like I said, this is sort of like, to me, a proxy for Campari. I honestly like it a lot better because I do think it's a little bit more subtle in flavor. Campari scares a lot of people. They don't like the flavor at all. You either love it or you hate it. And I think that this definitely splits the difference and allows you to like kind of wade into these bitter herbal liqueurs without overwhelming yourself at the beginning. I'm missing an ingredient. Hang on 1 second.
While we're on a break, just going to remind you all to tip Victor. I'm going to put that in the comments again, but his Venmo is at Victor-Moyer. Also, tonight we have a discount code for the rest of the weekend. It's Red Bear, and you'll get 10% off your order, and then we will match all those sales with a 10% donation to the Red Bear staff because we love them, and we want to keep drinking their beer. So, all right, Victor's back. Bye.
Sorry about that, guys. I thought I was prepared. This is another Capital Line spirit. This is the rosé. We all sort of refer to it as a vermouth, but it is more of a cordial. We're going to do an ounce of this, and then an ounce of the bourbon. All right, so So this guy, to me, it's sort of like a riff on a Negroni and like taking a Negroni and turning it into a bit of a smash, because anything where you're muddling starts to get a little smash adjacent, and that is a fun cocktail method to basically use any fruit you have. Screw making a shrub, screw making syrups. Just throw the stuff in the glass and muddle it, and you can get a lot of cool flavors out of there, and cool colors too. So I would prefer to serve this on crushed ice just because I like the texture of the crushed ice. But once again, it's not a make or break situation. So just pour this guy on here. If you don't like little pieces of stuff in your cocktail, you could also use a double strainer. Just use a little net strainer. I personally really like those little things. They add some little fun visuals. And we're gonna garnish this guy with simple basil leaf. This is one of those things you see fancy bartenders do. It's called activating the herbs. You just knock it.
Smack it.
And there we go. This is the Alcaprese. I'm gonna let you taste that one as well. Do a review here.
Ooh. Wow, y'all. There was a lot of hate in the comments. Not hate, but everybody seemed
concerned.
Yeah, there was some concern. People seemed to doubt this situation. Someone asked if it should be in a glass or like thrown on pasta.
Yeah.
And the verdict is both. This is dinner. This is dinner. I feel good. I haven't had a chance to go home yet since I left the distillery, so I feel good about both.
Yeah.
We're going to be around for a couple more minutes, so if you have any more at-home bartending questions, or if I missed your question earlier, feel free to send that in right now, because we're going to hang out for a few more minutes and take any of your questions. If you're like, what glass should I use at home? Whatever it is. Thank everybody for your nice comments. About half of my old office is here. Hi, Trinity. Hi, Jonathan. Hi, Jeff. Happy birthday again, Jeff. Love you all so much. So I'm going to turn it back to Victor, because everybody thinks he's hot and stuff. So
thank you. I'm an old man. I appreciate it. But yeah, so like I said, I think being somebody who came into the industry bartending without any real knowledge. I mean, I started bartending in 2011, and my good friend Kat, who's actually in here, favorite cocktail bar in DC. Hang on to that one. Kat, who's in here, who actually this is my girl right here.
Oh my God!
That's
Really?
my girl Kat. Yeah.
Oh my God!
She taught me how to. I mean, we learned together. We learned together by trial and error. Thankfully, we had access to some really cool products. But once I really kicked into gear once I opened the Red Hen. I feel like there was a lot of opportunity to just try different things, and I think I was lucky to come around at that time when people were the experimentation was really crazy, and there weren't a lot of people doing cocktails. Now anywhere you go is going to know how to make the majority of classic cocktails, and I'm kind of expected to. But with that, I feel at some points came little pieces of pretension, which has thankfully gone a lot away. Even nice cocktail bars are focusing now more on hospitality, because you see like there's 80,000 places to go in this city. If someone comes in and leaves with a bad taste in their mouth, cocktail or otherwise, there's a million other places to go. And so
I feel like that'll be like 10 times that too after all of this, because like when people start going out again, they're just gonna want to like feel good.
Yeah, you want to have a good time. And I mean, I don't necessarily think that always means that you have to have the most expensive, most well-researched things. Now, sometimes you can, and sometimes you do, and sometimes I want a fabulous Vesper made with freaking the best ice that's been flown in from Fiji and all that. But I also drink a lot, and I can't do that every time. So yeah, I think people should just take anything away from this, is that there is no wrong, and you should do what makes you feel comfortable. Look up a couple classic cocktails, and then just replace some ingredients and see what you like.
Yeah, we have some. The people want to hear from you. Okay, One person said having a drink made by you in real life is now on their DC bucket list, which is adorable.
Thank you.
You're here full time.
I am.
Okay, cool. So when everything isn't shitty anymore, come to Red Bear in Noma.
And I'm currently delivering on a semi full time basis. I have a Smart 42 Passion convertible in white with Red Bear all over the side, so you can't miss me. If you want delivery, chances are 1 out of 3 I'll be the one to bring it to your door. So,
what's happening at Red Bear right now? What are the pickup and delivery options?
So we made a lot of stuff happen real fast. Our kitchen has reduced the number of items, but that's because of quality control. We want to make sure we're getting out good product for everybody. There's still a ton of options. In terms of alcohol, we've got cocktails to go, single serve and special quart deals. You can get a batch of stuff. You can also get the ingredients to make some of these cocktails at home, and we'll just ship it all to you like a kit. We've got, we have done several canning runs. We've got our Skookum Pacific Northwest Red Ale, 51st State New England IPA, Peak Bloom, our new Cherry Wit, Tastes Like Flannel, which is another IPA. Is it Pacific Northwest style? What would you call it? West Coast style IPA. And then Mystic Storm, which is one of our most popular beers, IPA in cans as well.
Is that what I'm drinking? The Nordic IPA?
You're drinking the Asgard from Asgard with Love.
Oh, nice.
But so all of those are pre-packed. You can buy those and they can get out to you very fast, which I encourage you to take advantage of that because those cans are all fresh, professionally canned by Ironheart, sorry. I wasn't here for that day. Ironheart, who came in with their mobile canning and canned all those for us, so they're awesome, they're easy, they'll come out to you quicker. If you're absolutely craving something else on our menu, now I will say things are 86ing here and there because we don't have a lot of staff in brewing right now. We don't want to waste a lot of product. But we do have 16 ounce and 32 ounce crowlers as well as 64 ounce growlers for sale. And you can get anything else on the menu in those items, including our ciders, wine, seltzer. It's New Orleans. I don't know what the hell's happening. Drink whatever you want. But yeah, so there's tons of different options and different sizes. That is all for delivery and pickup. If you have a growler at home, unfortunately, you will have to come in for pickup. We cannot bring those back and sanitize them in delivery, so you'll have to purchase a new growler if you do. So I encourage you to go with the crowlers for some of that stuff. It'll also stay fresher longer because you've got at least, if you get two 16-ounce cans, that's giving you the option to drink it all or save one.
And didn't y'all come out with a new beer today?
That's the Peak Bloom.
Okay, cool.
The Peak Bloom on Cherry Wit.
Just in case folks at home don't understand this, putting out a new product is a difficult thing that costs a lot of money, and so does production. So it's extremely impressive that y'all have done that in the middle of a pandemic. So for those of you who are sitting at home and wondering what's the next new thing, that's something that's really expensive and hard to do when we're all short-staffed and don't have a lot of just money to throw around.
I also think it would
sorry.
Oh, no, I think it's
fun.
Liz
is the taproom manager here.
Yeah, the taproom manager,
yeah, total badass. You can read more about Liz on at Republic Restoratives Instagram. She's featured for our Women's History Month campaign. So,
but if you see behind Liz and everywhere here, we've got cans, growlers, bottles everywhere. We've basically turned into a production facility. So we are trying to get all these products out to you still that you love.
We love what we can with what we got, and we want to see everybody on the other side of this.
Yeah, and we're feeling the love. Everybody's been really great. Like I said, whether it's questions about cocktails or questions about Red Bear or questions about Republic Restoratives that I can get for you, please at me, please DM me.
Someone wants to know what the best thing about working at Red Bear is.
That is great. Okay. Oh, she's gonna run away. So, having worked in a lot of different places in the industry and in a lot of different positions, the best thing about working at Red Bear is that there is a true camaraderie and a true egalitarian approach to everything we do. A good idea is a good idea. It doesn't matter who it comes from. It doesn't matter who came up with it. Implementation is the same way. If you know how to do something well, we want you to show everybody how to do it well. So I've never seen a group look so hard at each individual person to see where their strengths are and highlight those and encourage those without any sort of what am I looking for? Without
like hierarchy hang-up.
The hierarchy hang-ups, the bureaucracy of like of
Big groups.
credit. So being this place is just I consider everybody here family. I will also say that I've never worked in a LGBT forward environment. We're very open. We're very open to everybody, obviously, but we do have a little bit of a gay corner on here.
That's an understatement.
Yeah, a little bit of gay.
Keep it gay.
You ever met Brian? But watching drag shows and seeing everybody on those weekend nights really is just like so much fun. So. And also, when money's fucking amazing. It's a good gig, bitch. All right.
Last question is, do you have a favorite cocktail book? Like, is there for people who are trying to learn?
Okay, so I'm gonna forget the name of it. There is a book. So some of you may be familiar with a shop in Alexandria. What is it called? Oh no! Somebody knows.
Someone knows.
What are you after?
So there's a cocktail shop in Alexandria. Really, really beautiful vintage cocktail glasses for sale. The Hour. Thank you so much. It's called The Hour. I got a gift card from this. That's fine. So The Hour. The owner of that shop did a cocktail book a few years ago called It was like Capital Cocktails. And I thought it was really fun because they were featuring bartenders from inside the city. Now this was at the beginning of sort of things like the Gibsons featured because everybody like fell in love with the Gibson obviously because they were doing the coolest stuff at the time. I do think looking back at some of the oldest like encyclopedia style books are going to be the best because you're going to get the most like broad range of ideas. But also I like to check out books on specific spirits, like especially like bitters or vermouths, because I feel like the knowledge of base spirits is a little bit more everywhere. You can ask your friends, you can ask your bartender. When it gets into the specific spirits, like learning a little bit about those, so you feel more comfortable with them, is really going to expand what you can do, what you can make at home.
Awesome. I'm going to keep this open for a second to leave some comments for you so that you know how to tip Victor and like
turn it around. Go back over there.
But
I'm gonna go back over here.
Oh yeah. Okay, so that's one of the things I was gonna tell you. Hey, whatever, be in the camera. It's totally fine.
It is a stop.
So behind the bar right now, behind Victor, you can see, and I'll put it in the comments too. Victor's handle is VJ Doom. That's if you have any like follow-up questions about tonight's class. Reach out to Victor on Instagram. Also, tip Victor on Venmo. His handle is at Victor-Moyer. I'm going to put that in the comments one more time before we sign off. Also, just want to say, again, if you weren't here at the beginning, thank you so much to everyone who has bought a bottle from Republic Restoratives over the last month. It's the reason that I still have a job and that so many people are still able to be on our team. So thank you so much. This weekend, if you use the code Red Bear, you can get 10% off your order. There's a link at Republic Restoratives bio, and that's our bottle shop. You can get home delivery in DC. You can come to the distillery and pick it up. You'll get 10% off, and we're also going to match all of those sales with a 10% donation to Red Bear, which again is my favorite brewery in DC. Victor mentioned a ton of great reasons to work here, but if you haven't had the chance to come here, the beer is amazing. It's so fun. It's such a great environment. Obviously, it's a great space for the queer community, which is so important. And we just love them, and we want to make sure that their staff is supported during these times, which have just been really, really hard for this whole industry. So make sure that you tip Victor, if you want to get 10% off your order, I'll leave that code in the comments, and we'll make sure to match that with a donation to Red Bear. Red Bear is also doing takeout and delivery 7 days a week. They have beer and food and cocktails to go. They're even batching them for quarantine cocktails, quarantini. So if you're stuck at home and you're I don't want to make that drink that Victor just made because that looks hard, so someone else can just do that for me. You can get it from Red Bear. We also have a bottled cocktail available at Republic Restoratives. It's called American Trilogy. It's like an old fashioned, but the base is a split between apple brandy and rye, and it's super easy. So just want to make sure that you have what you need for bartending at home. But again, thank you to the team at Red Bear, such a great friend of the distillery. Check out our recent post for Women's History Month if you want to learn more about Liz, the awesome taproom manager here at Red Bear. But yeah, thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you again to Victor, our awesome bartender tonight. If you have any more questions, I'm going to comment really quickly with his information. So if you want to like DM him with any at-home bartending questions, I know he answered a lot of them earlier. So this will be available in our story. We'll try to get this video up for you too. But thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in.
Yeah, and please, I'm serious about questions. If you have any questions, DM me if we didn't get to them or we didn't answer anything there. I'm off the next 2 days, so I'm happy.
We're bored.
To drink and answer questions.
Yeah, but like if you weren't here earlier, Victor's still driving for Red Bear, still working, but obviously like the whole point of this is to make sure that you're all having fun bartending at home, and that you keep supporting local small businesses because we love you and we want to continue to exist when this all is over. So thanks so much for tuning in. I'm going to keep this open for a couple